Hey, this is Luke with Salt Strong. In this video, I'm going to be showing one of my favorite lures to use up on the flats that is a surprise to pretty much everybody that I fish with, and this is a bullfrog. So this is a bullfrog for bass fishing, obviously. For some reason, though, this works surprisingly well for redfish plus sea trout, snook, really the inshore species. I've even jumped multiple tarpon on it. In one tournament, I placed a trout and a redfish, and that's going against guys with live bait. This thing works. The reason why I like it, it's a good topwater lure, but it's super weedless. So in situations like we have today, we have a decent amount of chop, which is good. We're early morning, but there's a lot of grass on the water. There's a lot of floating grass on the water, and so normal topwaters are just a hassle. They keep snagging the grass. This rides right over that grass, right? It's not as loud as a typical topwater plug, but the fact that you're not having to deal with the grass, you can actually catch more fish in many cases in these conditions with this lure. So we're gonna go ahead and give it a whirl. And the cool thing is that it's super easy to use. You don't have to do anything fancy. You don't have to have a crazy, perfect walk the dog retrieve. You literally just cast it out and then reel it in. The key though is just to hold the rod tip up. So hold that rod tip up, and that's gonna keep this frog right on the surface. And those two little legs will sit there and they just kind of flutter, just a little flutter kick. And those fish, I don't know what they think it is, if they think it's a little crab on the surface or just a mullet or something that's just churning up the water a little bit, but they come up and hit it, and it's surprisingly effective. So here you can see this design on it, right? These little legs just sit there and kick, and it kind of spits up a little bit of water, and man, it drives those fish crazy. All right, so one tip when using this frog is that you just need to know that it doesn't float on its own. So it's really on us to make sure that we have momentum in the water, because when you reel it in, it just sits on the top, and again, these little tails sit there and flutter and kick up some water. And so it's crucial to, as soon as that frog lands, you want to have your line tight and start retrieving the line. And so a tip is to actually, before the lure hits the water, and you actually should be doing this with everything else, it significantly decreases wind knots. But before the lure hits the water, go ahead and flip the bail and stop that line from going out. And that way, oh man, I just had something followed up. So that way when it does land, right? So I'm holding line ready. I flipped the bail right before it landed. And when it landed, I actually had the rod pointed towards it. And then the simple act of just lifting the rod up and just kept that frog on the surface. And then I just started reeling, right? And that way you can basically get it right every time. And as you get closer, right, if I keep my rod tip up, it's just gliding over the surface like that. We don't want that. So as it gets closer, you can put your rod tip down. This is what you want it to be like, right? You want that frog to just be kind of gliding right on the surface. And also too, after you do catch some fish, you will start getting some issues where it'll start tearing, and you just want to make sure that it's just linear in the water. And one way to actually get more bang for the buck is before it's torn all the way, we can thread it out, right? And then hook it the other direction. So it doesn't really matter if it's which way it is, to be honest. And so this bottom side is torn up, the top's still there though. And so we're gonna go on the other side, right? Rig it down, just go straight through the middle of the bait, pull it out right about there. Take this through, turn it around, and now we can start afresh with a whole new bait, right? And it's the same premise. So now the hook point is just riding. The base of the hook rides free. That significantly increases your hookup ratio. Now we have all this material. It's not torn up. We can now catch a whole nother series of fish. Oh, there we are. That sounded like a trout coming right at us. A little guy. A little trout. Oh, that bird's trying to get him. Oh, watch out there. Cormorant's down there trying to get this trout. But yep, as you can see there, we're just covering this bank. Bullfrog, just taking it right over the grass. That was a little small trout, but the big ones hit it too. And as far as just getting it back in action, in many cases, the frog will slide up the line, which is a good thing. If you're fighting a snook or anything, when it starts doing the head shakes, once it flies up there, now that snook can't shake the hook out nearly as effectively as it could a lure with weight on there. So to get it back in action, just do it, get it back in the, obviously get the frog back around the turn up top. Now we have the hook flying around by itself, and just take that hook, go in between the legs, and now we're good to go. Now we're back in action. So we're gonna go ahead and see if we can see what else we can get off this flat. But yeah, it's a cool little lure. If you're looking for, if you like topwater and you need a topwater that can be used when there's a lot of floating grass or debris on the water, this is cool. This is, I would say, the must-have. And we have the frogs plus the hooks on our shop if you need it, fishstrong.com.
And if you're new to Saltstrong, just know that we're the best online fishing club in America because we actually guarantee that you'll be catching more fish while saving time and money. We do this through our premium education, our exclusive insider community, and huge discounts on all the tackle you need. To learn more, go to saltstrong.com. Otherwise, hope to see you again soon.